Welcome to this monthly training on workplace violence prevention. In today's training, you will learn about California's workplace violence prevention law, learn how to identify, evaluate, and correct workplace violence hazards, learn the provisions of Veritiv Workplace Violence Prevention Plan, and how you can get involved in developing and implementing our plan. Learn how to report and investigate workplace violence incidents, learn how to seek assistance to prevent or respond to violence, and strategies to avoid physical harm. Important that all employees understand our workplace violence prevention plan. Our plan is designed to protect co-workers as well as visitors and contractors from any threat of violence or workplace violence. Co-workers must be familiar with Veritiv Site's WVPP and their role in preventing and addressing incidents of workplace violence. How to obtain a copy of the WVPP. A copy of the WVP plan is available and is accessible to all co-workers at no extra cost. To obtain a copy of the WVP plan, contact Site Manager, EHS, or the WVPP Administrator, Matt Wells, VP of EHS, by calling 817-583-5760. What is workplace violence? Any act of violence or threat of violence that occurs in a place of employment, including threat or use of physical force against co-worker that results in, or has high likelihood of resulting in, injury, psychological trauma, or stress, regardless of whether co-worker sustains an injury. Incident involving a threat or use of firearm or other dangerous weapon, including the use of common objects as weapons, regardless of whether the co-worker sustains an injury. Workplace violence does not include lawful acts of self-defense or defense of others. What are the types of workplace violence? Type 1 violence. Workplace violence committed by a person who has no legitimate business at the worksite and includes violent acts by anyone who enters the workplace or approaches co-workers with the intent to commit a crime. Type 2 violence. Workplace violence directed at co-workers by clients, visitors, or contractors. Type 3 violence. Workplace violence against a co-worker by a present or former co-worker, supervisor, or manager. Type 4 violence. Workplace violence committed in the workplace by a person who does not work there but has or is known to have had a personal relationship with a co-worker. Workplace Violence Prevention Plan WVPP elements. Co-worker responsibilities and involvement. Communication procedures. Reporting procedures. Incident and emergency response procedures. Post-incident response and investigation procedures. Hazard identification and correction. Record keeping and evaluation of the WVP plan. Co-worker responsibility and involvement. Know your role. All co-workers are responsible for using safe work practices, following policies and procedures for maintaining a safe work environment, and promoting safety wherever and whenever possible. Co-worker responsibilities include: be respectful to all persons, refrain from threatening, harassing, or dangerous behavior. Report all threats, violent acts, or workplace hazards to your supervisor or manager. Cooperate with efforts to resolve workplace violence concerns. Evaluate each situation. Document any workplace violence incident. Call security or law enforcement if a co-worker, visitor, or contractor is demonstrating violent behavior and safety may be compromised. Veritiv encourages active involvement of co-workers and their unions in developing and implementing the plan. Co-worker role. Reporting workplace violence and the response. When in doubt, report. All co-workers are required to report any threats or acts of workplace violence and should do so as follows. Notify your supervisor. Report all violence incidents, threats, or other workplace violence concerns to your manager, supervisor, HR, or the WVPP administrator without fear of reprisal. If you wish to report anonymously, contact the helpline at 8883122693. The manager, supervisor, or manager on duty will contact law enforcement, if appropriate, and coordinate with law enforcement on the reporting and investigation of the violent incident. Human Resources and/or EHS will complete a violent incident log. The WVPP administrator will inform the reporting co-worker of the investigation results and any resulting corrective actions taken. The company strictly prohibits retaliation against any co-worker for making a report of workplace violence. Incident and emergency response procedures. De-escalating a volatile situation. Do's and don'ts. Don't block exits, leave an escape route for yourself. Don't match the threat speak in an even tone of voice and present polite and calm attitude. Don't give orders, keep communication simple, to the point, and focused. Don't fight back, avoid physical contact and aggressive behavior. Don't get too close, maintain a safe distance and physical barriers. If the situation cannot be diffused, remove yourself from the situation. Post-incident response and investigation. When a violent incident takes place, the WVPP administrator or designee will promptly conduct a post-incident response and investigation, post-incident response procedures, provide immediate medical care or first aid to any injured co-workers, take any measures necessary to prevent others from being injured, identify all co-workers involved in the incident, assess whether any additional threats remain, conduct post-incident debriefing session as soon as possible with all co-workers involved, check in with affected team member or team members, report the incident as required by human resources or any agency. Evaluate the incident for gaps or deficiencies in emergency response plans. Hazard and security assessment. We will conduct periodic inspections of the workplace to identify and evaluate workplace violence hazards and threats of workplace violence. Inspections will be performed after each workplace violence incident, when new or previously unidentified security hazards are recognized, annually by internal or external resource. Report workplace hazards. If you become aware of a workplace hazard, report the hazard to your supervisor, manager, or the WVPP administrator. Document the hazard and take photos so that management can correct the unsafe conditions and/or work practices in a timely manner based on the severity of the hazard. Retaliation against any co-worker for reporting a workplace hazard concern is strictly prohibited. Active shooter. Here is what you need to know. Surviving an active shooter event. Co-workers should know how to respond individually to incidents of workplace violence and active intruders. Use run, hide, fight, depending on your situation in the active shooter event. Individual response to a shooter. Run if you can. If you can escape without getting closer to the shooter, be sure to have an escape route and plan in mind. Run regardless of what others do. Leave your belongings behind. Help others escape if it doesn't endanger you. Call 911 as soon as you are in a safe location. Keep your hands up to communicate that you are not a threat. 2. Hide. If you can't run, your hiding place should be out of sight concealment. For example, a dark office. Provide protection from bullets cover, for example, a heavy door, and not trap you or restrict your options for movement or escape. To prevent a shooter from entering your hiding place, lock the door. Blockade the door with heavy furniture. Lights, radios, phones, etc. turned off. Do not shout or make noise. 3. Fight. If you can't run or hide, experts say complying and begging usually won't work. You have to fully commit. You're fighting for your life. Highly aggressive, scream, yell, rush forward. Throw things. Use improvised weapons like scissors, lamp. Move toward exits while distracting shooter. Attack groin, eyes, knees, throat. Don't ease up or stop until you are safely evacuated or the shooter is down for good. Co-worker, visitor, or contractor violence. Veritiv has a zero-tolerance policy for violent acts or threats of violence against our co-workers, visitors, or contractors. Includes discussions of use of dangerous weapons, even in a joking manner. If you are subjected to or threatened with violence by a co-worker or anyone else at work, or you are aware of another individual who has been subjected to or threatened with violence, you are to report this information to your supervisor or manager or human resources as soon as possible. All threats should be taken seriously. Guns and other weapons. Team members and/or visitors are precluded from bringing firearms weapons on site. Also, US states prevent employers from precluding employees from having firearms in their personal vehicles on company property. See list provided on this slide. Record keeping. Veritiv will maintain records as follows. Hazard identification and correction records will be kept for at least 5 years. Violent incident log records will be kept for at least 5 years. Training records will be kept for at least 1 year. Investigation records will be kept for at least 5 years. Hazard identification and evaluation records, training records, and violent incidents log will be available to employees upon their request. Review of the WVPP. We will periodically review the effectiveness of the WVPP, including the violent incident logs, and revise the plan as needed. The WVPP will be reviewed annually when a deficiency is observed or becomes apparent, and after a workplace violence incident. The WVPP will be reviewed by management and any participating employees. We encourage all employees to review and develop the WVPP. Any comments or suggestions for improving the plan may be provided to Human Resources or the WVPP administrator. Remember, if you don't report it, we can't investigate it. If you witness, experience, or learn of any non-emergency violent incidents, report the incident to your manager or supervisor or by calling the WVPP administrator. If you think a matter is an emergency, dial 911. For any questions, concerns, or suggestions regarding this training or the WVPP, please contact the WVPP administrator. Thank you for your participation on this monthly training. For any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to management or your regional safety manager, as they will be glad to answer any questions that you might have.